What's up, guys? This is Taking the Field with Stevie Mack, a Lacrosse Talk podcast. Now, this episode is also going to air on DetroitTitans.com, and the reason because my guest today is the head coach for Detroit Mercy men's lacrosse, Chris Kolon. So, Coach, thanks for taking the time to talk with me.
Thanks for having me.
So, like I said off the air just a moment ago, we'll get into a lot of different things here on this episode. We'll talk about the schedule a little bit. We'll talk about some returning players, a few new faces I've heard from this team this year. So we'll really dive into it. So to get started, talking about the schedule, there's 7 road games on the schedule here in 2022. That's over 60% of the Titans' schedule this season, including 4 straight on the road to start the year. How do you attack a schedule like that as a team with so much travel involved, especially that early part of the season?
Well, if you look at the quality of opponents in the first part of the season, to get that quality of opponent, you got to go on the road. We could kind of mess around with people maybe at our level or the mid-major level or a lower level, but we're not. We're going to go at the big boys early on. That's what we've always done. And to be honest with you, even though our travel is at 60%, we're still mileage wise significantly less with this new conference than we've ever been in the past. So most of the guys are used to it. I think it also is a great opportunity to see some. Michigan is away, but is that really away? Right. To go play Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Marquette is a back and forth. It's a great experience. So I think we're offering the best experience we can.
Absolutely. So you touched on those matchups, those first 4 matchups in the season: Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Marquette. The other 3 road games this year at High Point, Bellarmine, and Utah. To round out the season. Now, you did mention in that first question that new conference this year, it's the ASUN Men's Lacrosse Conference. From what I understand, it's their second kind of attempt at men's lacrosse in that conference. So Detroit Mercy will now see Utah, Air Force, Bellarmine, Robert Morris, and Cleveland State all in conference play starting this year. What can we expect from this new version of ASUN Men's Lacrosse, and really what does it mean for Detroit Mercy to be a part of it?
Well, this year is a growth mindset, everything that we're doing by the strength of schedule, being in a new conference, having a younger team. We're really not concerned about outcomes as much right now. We're concerned about getting better and becoming a tougher, more mighty opponent in each step and each day of practice. So I think that's what kind of this year is going to be all about, the new conference and resetting ourselves, Getting back to High Point, right? High Point's probably our furthest game away, and that's still 2 hours closer than our old friends at Siena. I think 3 hours less than Marist by bus, and 4 hours less than Quinnipiac. So while we're traveling, we're also consolidating into more of a Midwestern league, which we like. I think the game is expanding in general, and there's great kids on the East Coast, but there's also now great kids in the Midwest and the West Coast. So, I think we're part of expansion and we're part of growth. And that's kind of what we've always been about at Detroit. And we're just taking another step. We did that in the MAC. I think in this new conference now, we're going to continue to expand our footprint and who we are with recruits and games and wins and losses. And it's just all about expansion and getting better.
Absolutely. So now we've talked a bit about the schedule. We've talked about this new ASUN Lacrosse Conference. Now let's talk about the roster a little bit and sort of the roster makeup of this team. I was told just earlier today by PJ Gradowski, the SID for men's lacrosse at the University of Detroit Mercy. There are going to be a few new faces on the field this year on the offensive and defensive side. What can you tell us about some of these new players and how they've really meshed with a lot of the returning guys this year?
Well, I'm not going to be too specific. Surprise is a good thing coming up on Saturday, so we're gonna keep as much surprise as we can. I can tell you this. Looking back, there's probably, we've got Brett Erskine and Paul with really real game experience, and then we've got another tier of guys that maybe 5 that have maybe 5 games of experience during COVID, because we had half of a season and half of a season, and then the rest of them have really no Division I experience. So it's going to be a young team, probably the youngest team we've ever had. I would have to ask PJ who would run the math on that. But even in year one, when we brought in a lot of transfers and stuff like that, 13, whatever, how long ago it was, I think we were an older team than we are right now. So it's a young group, and we're going to play young early on, and we're going to grow. And it's a very talented group, and we hope that, with experience and experience, we're going to keep pounding the stone and get better.
Now, you did mention in that last response, you mentioned Paul and you mentioned Erskine, both receiving ASUN All-Conference preseason accolades. What have those two really meant to this program over the last several years that they've been around Detroit Mercy?
Well, they're both generational players, right? I think, you hope the kids like them your coaching career, but I'm not sure if you do, and however long you stay at a program. But if I'm Brett, when it comes to his leadership and just who he is as a person and as a player, it's just been a joy, right? Brett's been just amazing on every level, right? He's just so fun to watch. He's a class act. He has fun on the field. He has a great time off the field. He's a great mentor and leader to kids. It's going to be, we hope to find more of him, throughout the years, but he's one that I think that it's going to be really hard to replace. And same thing with Paul. Paul was a kid that was under recruited. We make a living on kids like Paul who, kind of slipped through the cracks at De La Salle. I had so many people telling me, like, who is this kid? Why are you taking this kid? It's from De La Salle. They run a zone. You don't know anything. And to turn into the player that he did, I think he's a PLL level player. He's done that with his hard work, and he's just a brilliant kid in the classroom and a brilliant kid on the field and a great leader. We hope to find more of him, but I think both of them are kind of guys you only see once in your career because they do everything right.
Absolutely. Now, final question here for you, Coach. I know you said previously you don't want to give too much away ahead of this game against the Ohio State Buckeyes on February 5th, but just what can you tell us specifically about that matchup and something that either fans should be watching out for or just anything to look forward to, I think, from that matchup in particular as the season gets going here?
Well, Ohio State's a class act. I mean, going down there into the Schottenstein Center, I don't think they've ever lost a game in Ohio State history in that indoor facility. And, we hope to surprise them with some stuff. I think a great matchup at the face-off is going to be something that people need to watch. I think it's going to be interesting to watch our new defense as the game goes on, adjusting to them on offense with maybe a couple different looks. And, I would hope that in the end, we can keep it very close and maybe squeak it out and surprise them. Time will tell, but I think it's going to be a close game. But I think really what's going to be the interesting matchup to watch for the guys that listen to your podcast and stuff like that is that face-off matchup, right? To the real lacrosse enthusiast, watching how those guys go back and forth. We have two guys that are just really technicians, and Ohio State's always had we model our face-off wings off their face-off wings and kind of how they approach the game, and we have some experience there, and they're always great there. So I think it's just going to be a great technical battle and great athletic battle between the two programs.
Yeah, this is definitely a game, especially early on in the season, that I'll be excited to watch for. Definitely have to take some time on Saturday to check that game out over on BTN Plus at noon on Saturday, February 5th. Well, Coach, thanks a lot for taking the time to sit down with me and talk this out heading into the 2022 season. That'll do it for this episode of Taking the Field with Stevie Mack, also airing on DetroitTitans.com. We've got another episode coming up on DetroitTitans.com a little bit later on. But as far as me and Coach go, we'll talk to you guys later.